Well, what if you don't want to see anybody? What if you want to get off grid? If you want to find views and vistas like this, or amazing campground sites like that, hang on tight and I'm going to show you how I found this majestic spot coming up. Hey, welcome to the channel, friends. As always, man, I'm stoked to see you. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to show you what I did step by step through a great resource to find remote spots. So what we're talking about dispersed camping. So dispersed camping is typically only going to be done in a national forest or on some BLM land. So the difference between a national forest and a national park deals with how these areas and these lands and the resources are controlled. So a national park is a lot stricter in some ways on what you can and can't do, and a national forest and wilderness areas have their own different restrictions as well. So a national park is where the vast majority of people go. So you want to go to Zion National Park, you want to go to Mount Rainier or to Mount St. Helens or all these other beautiful spots. And so anywhere that you have a lot of people, if you have a lot of infrastructure, if you have restrooms, if you have set up and established campgrounds, these are probably going to be national parks. But if you don't want that, what if you want to get away from everybody? What if you don't want to see anybody for days? Well, then you need to head off into the national forest and do some dispersed camping. But how can you find these places? So we're going to walk through this amazing resource on the U.S. Forest Service website. I'm going to show you how to navigate through here, and I'm going to show you how I found one of my spots. It's awesome. It's a beautiful, little, amazing spot. So let's take a look at this guy. So you just go in to the U.S. Forest Service website. And when you get there, you can have their home page, and it's kind of set up pretty good. And you got a couple menu tabs on the top from Visit Us, all the way over to About the Agency, and then Working and stuff. And scroll down here just a little bit and see a cool bear and the photos and just all kinds of stuff. And then each one of the drop-down menus has some good stuff. So we can go to Before You Go, and this is a great resource. As you can see, if you're looking for stuff about recreation fees and passes, the beautiful thing about camping, doing dispersed camping, is most areas, wilderness areas and national forests, you can do for free for up to 14 days. So that's pretty awesome. And then here we got some different information on planning our trip and the forest roads that are out there. And, that vehicle map is a pretty good one too. And then we can go into camping. It has some good different takeaways for how to prepare to go camping. A great resource. There's old Smokey the Bear. Don't want to get him, the Spartan kick you in the face. All right, so we'll go back and then main page. And then if we look over here, you find the forest or grassland. So what I did was I went down to Washington State, and there's queuing all the ones in here. And then if I hit this drop-down menu, it's going to give me all the forest areas that we can get. So we go to Olympic National Forest, and that's where we're going to go. So all of the forest areas are going to look similar to this. Going to give you your fire danger. Going to have all your main menus on the left, and all of these menus down on the bottom. And scroll down a little bit more, show you what else that they have here, and then so let's go into camping. And here we have leave no trace, and that's a big one there too. But let's go into dispersed camping. So dispersed camping, right, is a term that we use to describe camping outside of a developed campground. So no latrines, right? No running water, no piped running water. You may have running water out of your stream. And then how to get campsite and expand this text. And it'll tell you whether or not animals are welcome. And most times in a national forest they will be welcome. National parks they may not be. And then we click back out and let's go to the maps. So here you got a couple different avenues to look at some different maps. And they are all unique, but they are all really awesome in their same way. So we can start off looking at the online recreation map. And this is a good one because it's kind of so here we see the national forest, how it kind of scoops around the national park and then up on the northwestern side. And all of these have different wilderness areas set within them. And so I'm going to go down here to the south, but if you just click on it, it'll tell you a little bit more about what the national forest is. And then you have some different trailheads and camp spots. And some of these may be smaller camping areas along the side of a road. And then some, and if they're not, you can still do dispersed camping. So dispersed camping, typically you're going to have, you're not on the road, and it's good times. So you can zoom back out and then scroll, and you can see our scale here. So the peninsula is huge, right? It's a large swath of land, and a national forest is pretty big too. So the Colonel Bob Wilderness, where we can start to see now, is over 11,000 square acres, 1,100 acres. And I can see, see this Peach Creek trailhead and all these forest roads that are in here. And I think we're gonna do a little digging in here and see what we got. So we have a trail here, and nobody goes on these trails. Like, nobody ever talks about them because there's no infrastructure for people to go to and park at. So let's go look at the maps and start zooming in here a little bit more. And zoom in some more. Now look at this. Let's look at the Colonel Bob map. What an awesome name, Colonel Bob. Hey, Bob. So we can download the PDF, and here we go. So I got both of them downloaded here now, and I can see what our scale is. 1 to 24. Got a declination. Of course, you want to go to NOAA's website if you want the most up-to-date declination information for a particular area. And then, man, look at all of those elevation changes. Man, that's awesome. Hump Tulips Ridge, man, that's another awesome name. Colonel Bob and Hump Tulips. They walk into a bar. So I think we're going to go somewhere up in here, right? Man, this just looks amazing. So you can print those maps super easy. And if you want to know more information about the roads that you're going to be driving on, that's when we go look at this motor vehicle use maps. Because when you start driving out through the national forest, a lot of the roads may be closed because they may be only accessed for logging purposes. So come down through here, and you can pick this up here's a good spot on Dispersed Camping, right? So permitted up to 100 feet from the center line of the road. So they don't want you too far away, and you may need some special vehicle designations depending on where you're going, whether it's ORV only or things of this nature. And you get some good contact information. So if you go to like the Ranger District Office, you can pick up a hard copy of this, or you can just print one off yourself. Here we got all of our tables, and I think we need to. So now we have our index map, and I can see here that we need to go down to 23, well, we'll look at 24 too, but we really need to get down to 23. All right, Colonel Bob. So I can see 2204, and we got Campbell Tree Grove campsite, and all these roads that are here are going to be open. You're going to be able to drive on these roads. And then you can see you got some trails, and here down in our legend. So roads open to highway legal vehicles only. So no dirt bikes, things of this nature. But the point is that they're open and you can drive on them. And then you have sometimes you'll have an established campground, like the Campbell Tree Grove. So I'll drive by that and take a look at it. But again, don't expect any latrines at all. Don't expect any showers. We can go back and look at the topographical map and just kind of how it compares back and forth. Oh, Moonlight Dome. I think this area is about 60 miles to the nearest hospital. 60 miles, man. When you start venturing off into places like this, you're not going to have any cell phone service. You're just going to be out alone, so you need to make sure that you do things safely and don't get yourself into something that you can't get out of. See all these beautiful ridges and spurs. Man, it's such great stuff. Such a great resource for somebody who's trying to do some off-grid dispersed camping. Maybe you want to go practice some bushcraft or just disconnect. So many other things that we can pull down from this. I mean, you could probably spend an hour doing some research, trying to find a good spot to go to and just get everything so that you have all of that information that you need prior to going. Right, so dispersed camping, camping in a place other than a campsite. Just like what we were talking about earlier. So you're in a national forest or in a wilderness area and you're off the road. Look at these beautiful pictures, right? Amazing. All these are dispersed campsites, And it's a big trick is to go camping in a dispersed area, right? Go camp in a national forest outside of a national park, which is normally where they're at. And then do your day trips into the national park. Save out on a lot of money. Or if you have an RV, man, you can park an RV in one spot for 14 days in a row. No worries. Beautiful areas all over the place, all over the country. Beautiful spots that we can go to. So like I said, leaving no trace is something that you need to do. So nobody should be able to tell that you've been in an area when you leave. Right? You should not be able to tell that at all. So you need to make sure you pick up and pay attention to detail on what it is that you're doing and picking up. The last thing that you want to see when you head out to a campsite is that somebody hasn't been taking care of their area. And you come out and you got trash and stuff. So if somebody did do that and you come across it, just make sure you take a few minutes and pick that trash up. Right, so some camp areas may have a charge, especially if it's maybe in a little bit more of a populated area like this. And that's why you want to make sure that you just get into some areas and find out. But again, if you go to dispersed camping, it's free. Again, because there's no resources and it's public property, right? That's why you can do this for free, because it belongs to you and it belongs to I. So always good stuff. Right, so there's an easy walkthrough through the National Forest website, which is the #1 resource that you need if you want to do some research on an area to get off grid and do some dispersed camping, right? All the other guides that are out there that you have to pay money for are going to pale in comparison at the end of the day to what's available at your fingertips for free. Just use the power of Google and let your fingers do the walking and take you to the National Forest website so you can find all this information and more. And then you take all this and you combine it with maybe things like weather data, because maybe you're going to some place that you've never been before, so you want to know if it's hot, cold, rainy season, dry season, anything else. Contact the ranger stations prior to going out, get any updated information, and then you can put all this in your kit bag and you can plan an amazing trip for you or you and your buddies, you and your family to get out there and enjoy the wilderness areas. I hope you enjoyed the content if you did. If you did, make sure you like it, subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date on some future content. And as always, until then, man, you stay stoked.